You guys notice that most of the shows coming out nowadays are apocalyptic type things about the world ending? It sure feels like the world's ending. And no one knows what to do about it. I've got a few ideas. Our water's disappearing. Our resources are in the hands of corporate interests, period. People with cash set policy in this country, you and me, we don't even rate. The law enforcement arm of the federal government, back when we gave the federal government the power to arrest and convict, people freaked. They said they're going to use this power to tyrannize and oppress people. So we amended the Constitution. The 14th Amendment was supposed to be a dream realized. Equality, diversity. Everyone has equal protection under the law. Protection from the government. How's that working out? It is not working out very well. We have a colonial police force, a centralized police force, the most powerful police force in the world, and that was not supposed to happen. The 14th Amendment says that all the other amendments apply equally to everyone. But in reality, the FBI, the Bureau of Prisons, they state that their policy supersedes the Constitution. Technically, nothing supersedes the Constitution, but in reality, they can get away with anything they want to get away with. The grossest miscarriage of justice in modern history, Leonard Peltier. He's not the guy that shot the agents. He's not the guy that bragged about shooting the agents. They paid Kumut Banks $43,000 20 years after the fact to take the stand and start a rumor. Her testimony was entered as not truth. They said they couldn't get her for perjury if it was entered as not truth. I have never seen a trial transcript like it. They paid her to say that Leonard bragged about shooting the agents, even though he wasn't on trial. They also they didn't pay another woman. When they extradited Leonard from Canada, they held a developmentally disabled woman incommunicado for over a year. And she said that they threatened to kill her. They threatened to kill her family. They told her, we're the FBI, we can get away with killing people. To write not one, not two, but 3 false affidavits to get Leonard Peltier extradited. The first 2 men charged were found not guilty by reason of self-defense because the FBI had been funding the goon squad for 3 years to terrorize people on that reservation. Hundreds of brutal assaults, over 60 murders. They killed people. They killed people's dogs. They killed people's horses. They wanted uranium mining rights. And corporate interests hooked up with the government, they're going to get what they want. The reign of terror wasn't enough. So on the day that the corrupt, horrible chair, Dick Wilson, slipped out to sell uranium mining rights, 2 agents raced into that reservation. People had turned to the FBI asking for help, saying our tribal council is murdering us. The FBI told them we are not here in a protective capacity. But these 2 agents raced into the reservation, plain clothes, plain cars. Gunfight started. There was a gunfight every day on Pine Ridge. This one was different. Freedom of Information Act documents show that the FBI had been given paramilitary powers, and they were preparing for a major military confrontation in Indian country. 20 minutes after the shootout happened, the might of the United States military descended on that reservation. It was mostly women and kids that they were shooting at. The 2 guys that they tried first were found not guilty by reason of self-defense. The jury foreman said if they would have said they shot the agents, they would have found them not guilty by reason of self-defense. That reservation had been under attack for 3 years. Leonard Peltier made it to Canada. They held a developmentally disabled woman incommunicado for almost a year. She said that they told her they were going to kill her, they were going to kill her family. They could get away with killing people because they were the FBI. They made her sign not one, not two, but 3 false affidavits. The woman was not good at writing the affidavits. The third, the FBI wrote themselves and made her sign it. The Canadian magistrate people by now knew the FBI played dirty. They did not want him to extradite Leonard. He said, the FBI is not going to try Leonard Peltier, the government is. But you know what? The FBI tried Leonard Peltier. They changed venues. They found a knowingly racist judge. They visited him beforehand to make sure that they would exclude FBI misconduct. And they faked the ballistics evidence that they found him guilty on. His own prosecution supervisor has come forward and said that they could not prove he committed any crime whatsoever. People have been coming out of the woodwork. FBI agent Colleen Rowley said that he is being held out of a FBI family vendetta. Kind of sounds like the mafia, but the mafia at least polices their own. Special Agent Mark Putnam, he strangled his informant when she told him that she was pregnant, killing her and his own unborn baby. He was out in 10 years because he was a model inmate. Leonard, on the other hand, is being held for, they had to change the theory of the murder when they were caught falsifying evidence to aiding and abetting. He's still in prison over 47 years later. They have sentenced him to death by incarceration. They have torn up the Constitution when it comes to this man. The government likes to say that his sentence is held up through numerous appeals and paroles. It will go that way when the system is so thoroughly rigged that if a parole examiner says there's no evidence, let him go, they simply replace the parole examiner. The Bureau of Prisons has stated that their policy supersedes the Constitution. High securities have been locked down for almost 4 years now. People are living in solitary confinement. They're living in conditions that would be illegal for dogs and cats, and we are allowing it to happen. There is one thing that we can do to take back our country. Ask the people that swore an oath to defend our Constitution stand behind that oath. The government knows. They know. They have admitted that Leonard Peltier did nothing but get the women and children out there. People have been coming forward saying that the whole thing was a setup. The FBI in 1992, Leonard had been in prison for 16 years by now, which was what Mark Putnam was sentenced to, even though he was out in town. They realized that public sentiment was starting to turn towards Leonard. They sent out a teletype, and they didn't even bother to classify it, about visiting Oliver Stone and Robert Redford and judges and senators and all these people that were coming out saying this is wrong. They sent out this teletype talking about using all of the resources of the FBI to visit these people and brief them thoroughly. People in the White House, you know, which is what they do. They scare the crap out of people. You do not advocate for Leonard Peltier. His parole held up once because the parole examiner says, we don't know who did it, but it was a member of his nation. Seriously, they wanted an Indian. They have their Indian. They're keeping their Indian, no matter what. No matter what. Senior political reporter for the HuffPost, Jennifer Bender, she sent an email to the White House asking about Leonard's clemency petition. The FBI emailed her back. Think about that for a second. They said, no, he's a cold-blooded killer and we're keeping him. They keep forgetting they had to abandon that theory. When they were caught fabricating evidence, they changed the theory of the murder to aiding and abetting. That's what he's being held on now, even though he is still classified as a high-risk offender in one of the most dangerous high-security institutions in the country. He's 79 years old. He's on a walker. The man has been nominated for 6 Nobel Peace Prizes. He has done more for peace and justice behind bars that most people out here can even conceive of. Anybody that takes the time to look at the real facts behind the FBI layer of weirdness, go to www.freeleonardpeltiernow.org and click on Learn and look at some of the letters from people that were there, people that know what was going on. People in the FBI that have come forward and said nobody has looked at the FBI's role in any of this. We need to look. We need to look. We need to take back our country. This man needs to breathe free air before he dies. We need to contact our representatives and say, hey, you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Our Constitution is not working for us right now. And we need to do something to change that, or we are all setting ourselves up to become roadkill. We are in the middle of, it's like The Handmaid's Tale meets Mad Max meets Soylent Green meets Mr. Magoo. Let's change one thing, folks. One thing. One thing. Let's get a good man who everybody who was authentically involved with the case admits did not do anything, and get him out so he breathes free air before he dies.